Hey, it's New Thought Talk. I'm your host, the Reverend Steve Walling from the Spiritual Awareness Center, located in Fresno, California. Fresno, the heart of the Central Valley, and the Central Valley, the heart of the great state of California. We got a lot of heart going on here today, and I hope you claimed your good as you began your day. And I start off each show with that reminder because, you know, each and every day is a gift, and it's a gift that we can embrace. It's a gift that we can see that was provided for us that we may experience and express life at a greater and higher degree. And that's the purpose of being here. And so the purpose of today's show is to move forward on our spiritual journey. We're going through the art of life, or this thing called life that Ernest Holmes wrote in 1948. And I hope you've been enjoying the series so far. So today, we're going to start with Chapter 5, but before we do, I'm going to go to the textbook. And Chapter 16 in the textbook, under the title Principles of Successful Living, Dr. Holmes writes, lessons on prosperity and mental control of conditions are sometimes dangerous because of the misunderstanding of this subject. He says the science of mind is not a get-rich-quick scheme, neither does it promise something for nothing. It does, however, promise that the one who will comply with its teachings, that he shall be able to bring greater possibilities and happier conditions into his or her experience. And I wanted to start with that because today, as we go into Chapter 5, it opens up with, you are now about to enter into the greatest experience of your life, a conscious use of God power that is within you. And, you know, oftentimes when we begin to look at how we express life and our relationship with the divine principle, that which we call God, that it expresses as us, through us in our life experience. And when we begin to talk about that we have the connection within ourselves, that we're connected with the divine principle, that we can utilize it consciously, that we may express life in a conscious way to create a greater and higher degree of livingness. Sometimes people, it's not that they necessarily doubt, but it's just so out of mainstream what people are used to when they think about spirituality, when they think about God and our relationship to that. And so one of the reasons why this is called New Thought is because it's a new thought within ourselves about who and what we are in the universe, in our life. So there's a power for good that's available to each and every one of us. At the level that we open ourselves up, make ourselves available to it, create a receptiveness within ourselves, build our faith, confidence, and belief in it, and realize that when the Master Teacher said, "It is done unto us as we believe," that he was speaking of a truth that has great depth and great meaning to each and every one of us. Our faith, confidence, and belief in our own individual connectedness with Source, with divine principle, and our ability to put this into practice in our lives, it holds us up, it raises us up, and as each and every one of us are raised up, we bring others with us. And so he said, he's got this affirmation. He says, you are going to have great joy in doing this. He says, you're going to receive untold good, and you are going to live affirmatively. Those are all things that we have to make certain choices about how we express, how we interact with the divine principle, and how we see ourselves in that relationship. So he goes on, he says, we have discussed the nature and the use of mental denial. Okay. As we are working through our day-to-day life experience, we talked about this trend of thought that is always in the background of our mind, that some people are just kind of always happy-go-lucky, and some people always seem like they've got a cloud over their head. And if you happen to be one of the cloud over your head people, it's time to get rid of that cloud, because there is a sun that shines on the other side of that. You deserve to have that sun shine in your life. But you are the person, you are the individual that makes the choice to whether that cloud's going to be there or not. Now, if you're used to living your life at a level where you see yourself kind of as a victim to that cloud, it's time to realize that in life there really aren't any victims per se. What there are is people that have put themselves in a situation through their acceptance of certain beliefs, acceptance of certain concepts about themselves, that have limited themselves, that have bound themselves in a servitude, if you will. The law always responds, and it always responds to us. It always responds to that trend of thought. So when we become aware that maybe our thoughts are not affirming, our thoughts are not positive, our thoughts don't express a level of consciousness that is uplifting, then we can begin to address those. And this is where, when Holmes talks about the nature and the use of mental denials, we begin to deny those negative thoughts that go through our mind. I'm not good enough. Well, wait a second. That's not a truth. And so I'm going to deny that truth any power in my consciousness, in my thinking. And in its place, I'm going to affirm that I really am something. I really am worthy. I really am important. I really am an expression of the divine. And when I realize within myself, and I embody that realization that I am an expression of the divine, okay, then that begins to build an image, if you will, in my mind and my imagination that builds me up, holds me up, and moves me down the line. So he says we must learn to live by inspiration. That means that we should let the spiritual depths of our being flow through our conversation, our mental conversation, our thoughts, how we interact with people, how we interact with the day. And as part of this, we have to look out into our surroundings and see how we have placed ourselves in those surroundings. Do we see our surroundings as something that is of a positive nature, or do we see our surroundings as something that is negative in nature? And if it's negative in nature, we need to change our consciousness about where we're at. Now, our surroundings may not be where we want to be, but they're where we're at. So let's find the good at where we're at and use that as the foundation point from which to lift ourselves up. You know, if we look around and we see things aren't real positive and that's all we focus on, then we keep ourselves in a less than positive place. So hold that thought. We're going to take our first commercial break, and I'll see you when we come back.
With Organic Pastures Raw Milk, you're getting a product that has been meticulously managed from grass to glass. From our pastures to our dairy, creamery, and distribution, we work hard to produce a product that is safe and clean for you.
Got lactose intolerance or dairy allergies? Discover delicious raw milk and discover dairy the way it's supposed to be. We provide tours and would love to see you. Come visit the cows, watch the milking, the cheese being made, and learn all about raw milk. We're just 20 miles south and west of Fresno, California. Call to schedule a tour at 559-846-9732.
The Saga of Bridget and Amanda by Carol Love Forbes brings to life the struggles of historical women in early America. Find the Saga of Bridget and Amanda on Amazon and Barnes & Noble and order your copy today.
You enter this door with expired tags. Beyond is another dimension, a dimension of regulations, a dimension of long waits. You have reached the registration zone. What looks like an ordinary shop is actually Mitchell's Smog, located in the heart of the Tower District, a few minutes from the DMV. Mitchell's Smog offers your vehicle a STAR-certified smog inspection. So remember Mitchell's Smog when you need to pass through the registration zone.
Are you thinking of selling your home? Since 2004, the Souza Group, brokered by eXp Realty, has specialized in premier property listings and sales located in the Clovis Unified and North Fresno markets. The Souza Group will do their best to exceed your expectations. Visit clovisunifiedhomes.com.
Hi, I'm the host of New Thought Talk, Reverend Steve Walling, and I want to take a moment today and give you an opportunity to support our ministry, support our show. You can do that through a PayPal payment. You send the payment through PayPal to the email address of Madera, MADERASAC @gmail.com. If you don't have a PayPal account, you can go down below the link and you can find where you can enter a debit or credit card. I want to thank those that have supported us and those that will continue to support us. You have a great day. Bye. So welcome back to New Thought Talk. I am your host, Reverend Steve Walling. So moving forward, in this chapter, Dr. Holmes is talking about our relationship with the divine principle, with God, and in that relationship, our ability to empower ourselves through the use of the law of divine principle. And so moving forward, he says, the moment one realizes that we can use this creative power of thought, we free ourselves from bondage. You know, if we have lived in a consciousness of ignorance, if you will, and that's not a negative in the sense that if you don't know what you don't know, there's little that you can do to change. But as you become aware that there are things that you can do in your life to create and experience a greater degree of livingness, you know, the assumption is that you're going to want to do that. And there is a way to, there are tools that we can use, and everything pretty much exists within ourselves. And that's the experience, that's the spiritual journey that we go through. He says, only as we give the best that we have to every passing experience can we hope to enter into the joy of living. As we look out into the world, as I was saying in the last segment, when we look out in the world and we see that which we don't want to see, and that's where we allow our focus to be, we're still in that consciousness to create more of what it is we don't want to see. When we look out into the world and we make a conscious choice to find the good in the world that exists around us, where we're at that point, that place in time, the where is, what is for ourselves, and make a choice to experience the best, the highest that we can in that moment, we begin to build on that, and we begin to put creative forces into motion in our life that will ultimately change that image that we see on the outside of ourselves. He says it would be impossible to explain the external world without supposing an internal one. And again, that idea that the external world ultimately is a reflection of what's going on within ourselves. So often, people look outside themselves and they find the reason for their happiness or unhappiness in the external world. The thing about the external world is we have no real control over it. Even people that believe that they have the ability to, control the outside world by telling others how to behave, what to do, and so on and so forth. Ultimately, whatever control that they may think they have is just fleeting, because someone else can come along and make changes and tell the world to change in ways that are unacceptable. When we begin to look within ourselves and realize that it's there that we create the experience that we want to experience in the world that we live in, then we begin to realize the true power that we have. And so, he says, it would be impossible to explain the external world without supposing an internal one. He says the mind or soul stuff which takes form through the impulsion of spiritual energy can be conceived of only in terms of consciousness, our power, our ability, our connectedness is all through our consciousness within ourselves, because at the core of our being is where the divine expression lives. You can call it the God within, the Christ within, or various other words that we use to describe that, but exist within us at the core of our being. He says, can you imagine a power so great that it is both an infinite presence and a limitless law? These are concepts sometimes that maybe stretch our ability to really wrap our minds around it, But there is an infiniteness that exists without, outside of space and time, but yet all space and time exists within it. That infiniteness expresses through all that is, including each and every one of us. And so, as I said in the beginning, that we are expressions of the divine. It expresses through us that we, through our consciousness, our connectedness with Source, that we seek to realize that. We seek to put that to use, that we may live life at a higher, greater degree of livingness. There is within each and every one of us some ultimate purpose in life, and that ultimate purpose is to live at a higher, greater degree of livingness. But for so many people, what they do is they settle. They just, whatever is, and that's it. And yet, that dream, if you will, that potential lives within them. It may live at a level below their consciousness, or it may live as a dream in the back of their mind that they believe that they'll never be able to experience. But if you can dream it, if that dream comes within you, from within you, and you seek to believe in that dream, you begin to put things into motion. You begin to tap into. But when you can realize that this can be done in a conscious way, not a happenstance way, but can be done consciously, that you can, if you will, go to the source and then be the directive force. You're not the power. You don't put power into it. You are the, if you will, the focuser, and you do that through your will, not willpower, but your will to keep your mind focused in a certain area. You use that same will to make sure that as thoughts or that trend of thinking that goes through your mind stays in a life-affirming way rather than a life-limiting way. No matter what the outside tells you, no matter what kind of circumstances that your eyes may see, there is a greater world experience yet to be lived when you can wrap your mind around it, believe in it, have faith in it, and seek to see it expressed in your life. It's sometimes some people feel that that's beyond their ability to wrap their minds around, but it's available to each and every one of us. Through the centuries, spiritual teachers have brought these truth teachings to the world, only to have them kind of shun it aside. But they're here, they're available to us. And in today's world, where we have the ability to make so many connections through electronic social media and stuff, this really is the time for you, for each and every one of you, to grab the power that exists within you. But it's a power for good, and you have to realize that. And in that realization, you have to realize that you have to align yourself with that good. You cannot go to that and seek to take from it in a negative way, to seek to bring to it something that is in opposition to it, and then have an intention of seeing it play out in your life. You can align yourself. We talk about God as being love. We talk about God as being beauty, peace, harmony, power, presence, all these different things, and it's true. But as an expression of the divine, we have our own ability to make conscious choices, and sometimes we put our consciousness in opposition to it's kind of like if you're in a river in a boat and you're rowing. You can choose to try and row against the stream, or you can turn and allow the stream to carry you along, or you can be anywhere in between. And the choice is always yours of where you're at in that stream. And consider that we're in a stream of consciousness, and the stream is life-affirming and abundance and peace and harmony. But every time we want to bring judgment or hate or fear or anything, we're misdirecting ourselves in that stream. We have to begin to develop a habit of thinking, a habit of life-affirming, a habit of accepting good, a habit of expressing love in all levels. And as we do that, we put ourselves in that stream, in the middle of the stream, going the direction we want to go. He says, he's talking about here that the scroll that was in the innermost room of the temple, and the words that were inscribed on it. And the words that were there, he asked, he says, what do you think it was? And the words are just two, I am. And he says, here's the concept of pure, simple, and direct affirmation of life, making everything out of itself. This is why most of the scriptures have stated that all things are made by the word of God. Okay? Did you ever stop to think that everything that is visible is projected into form by some invisible power? There's a power and a presence for good in the universe. All that is that power expressing. He says, what is meant by the words I am? He says, I am is that life. He says, life always works in accord with the law. He says, I am this and I am that, and immediately this and that appear. The word is spoken, becomes reality. He says, life works by direct affirmation. He said, why are we told to align ourselves with principle? Why are we placed in the stream, if you will, where we're placed and left to our own devices? And that's because as we evolve in consciousness, each and every one of us, there was a physical evolution that brought humanity to the awareness of the individual I am, if you will. But from that point, our evolution as humanity has depended upon us as individual beings. Our expression in the world depends on us as individual beings. The world that we live in, that expression also depends on us as individual beings. And you could say that, well, the world's in a pretty tough place right now. Absolutely it is. But it's through the individual being, you, I, and all the rest of us individual beings, coming to a realization of a greater truth and acceptance of that greater truth, realizing that peace begins within us and then is expressed outward into the world. He says here, he tells, we are to affirm health in the midst of sickness. We are to decry joy in the midst of sorrow, and we are to announce the kingdom of God here and now. When we look out into the world, and the world isn't the positiveness that we want to see expressed in our life, we have to make that declaration in the face of that, of good. We have to make that declaration of love. We have to make that declaration of peace and harmony from within ourselves in order to see it expressed out into the world. He says, why are we told to this? Because this is the way that life works, from the inside out, not from the outside in. We have an incredible connectedness, if you will, with the creative source of the universe, but we're not taught that. We don't live that. We live what we've been taught, which is limitation, subjection to whatever's going on in the outside world, and we've been told to accept that. We've been told to deal with that, and we've been told that we're not enough, or on and on and on. But none of that is true. But it will remain the experience that we experience it until we start seeking truth and putting that truth into practice in our day-to-day life experience. So we're going to take our next break, and I'll see you when we come back.
If your home floods, who will you call? When your house springs a leak, it's time to call Clean Master Emergency Flood Service at 559-213-9430. Clean Master will be there in 60 minutes to start fixing your home. And Clean Master bills your insurance directly, saving you the hassle because you've got enough to worry about. Clean Master also offers carpet and upholstery cleaning, carpet repair, pet odor removal, and more. Remember, Clean Master Emergency Flood Service, 559-213-9430, and visit cleanmasterflood.com.
We forget about the higher good of food, right? You're growing a product that people enjoy really all over the world. I mean, how does that make you feel?
I think about that all the time. I think about the families sitting around a table, enjoying a meal. I just see that what we do brings families together.
I mean, we're blessed. We're in paradise for food.
The Kern family of the Kern Family Farm invites you to eat delicious, nutritious, organic produce available at the Gnarly Carrot. Located at 32954 Road 222 in North Fork, California, the Gnarly Carrot is a local, natural, seasonally changing market offering a wide range of products from local Central Valley vendors. Get your caffeine fix, grab a smoothie, and support small businesses. Learn more at kernfamilyfarm.com and visit the Gnarly Carrot today.
Ghost Golf is Fresno's most spooktacular family entertainment center. It's frightening how much fun you'll have on our 18-hole indoor haunted graveyard course. Skeletons welcome you, but watch out. All sorts of creatures may come to life. Ghost Golf is perfect for scary good parties, so book yours today. You'll get free plays at the Mummy Shooting Gallery, arcades, and air hockey. Check out our party and weekday specials online and like us on Facebook. Come play at family-friendly Ghost Golf. Good times will haunt you.
At McDermott Counseling, you will receive the highest level of care and a welcoming, safe space in which to discuss your most personal issues. Our therapists go above and beyond for you. Call 559-280-5756 or visit McDermottCounseling.com to find a caring therapist who best suits your needs. Diane Ainsworth's books of poetry and scriptures are available at CondeoPress.com and as ebooks at Amazon.com. Diane hopes the words in her books will convey the unconditional love Jesus has for you. Learn more at godsinspirationsblog.wordpress.com and get a copy of Diane's books today.
Hello everyone, my name is Miss G. I offer fun and affordable promotion and advertisement on my talk show. It is called Fresno Vibes. We talk, we play awesome music. I also feature a bunch of different bartenders from different places. I like to have restaurants. I like to have any event, any kind of fun stuff. Contact me at rmgmissg@gmail.com and we will have so much fun and we will promote your business, promote your event right here on my show. So contact me. We'll have fun. Thank you.
Connect with Dr. Alan Hedberg. Watch Doctor Teach Me to Parent on CentralValleyTalk.com Saturdays at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Listen to The Psychology Report anytime at thepsychologyreport.buzzsprout.com. Visit booksbyhedberg.com and order a book for your personal growth. And join the conversation on twitter.com/Alan G. Hedberg.
Welcome back to New Thought Talk. I'm your host, Reverend Steve Walling. We are going through Ernest Holmes' book called The Art of Life, or This Thing Called Life. And sometimes I get, well, anyway, the thing is, in chapter 5, where we're at, and we're talking about thoughts and having an affirmative trend of consciousness becomes very important. People that are new to new thought, science of mind and spirit, oftentimes, they come with the expectation, like there was a movie out several years ago called The Secret, and they get all excited that they can, they can do all this stuff or create all these things in their life, or, they somehow have gotten the impression that the concept of what is commonly referred to as the prosperity gospel is, this is kind of their get-rich-quick type of scheme, but it's not. There is a path, there's a journey, and in this path and on this journey, those that travel it are held, if you will, to a higher level of consciousness, because we're dealing with something that knows us at the level we know ourselves, and that's, it's kind of hard to explain in a way, but there's no deep dark corners in your mind or in your heart that that the divine, that God, if you will, spiritual mind, whatever, is not aware of, because it is you expressing as you. You have an incredible power of thought and volition where you can think and hold beliefs, and some of them are affirming and some of them are limiting. When Jesus said that, judge not, lest ye be judged by, whatever measure you judge others, so shall you be judged by that measure. How would that happen unless that which is within you that knows that level, knows that judgment, knows that measure, is the same thing that expresses life for you, through you, and as you? So when you begin to seek to create a life of greater good and greater abundance, it also is a life of greater spiritual, mental responsibility, if you will. And you have to be responsible for changing old habits. You have to be responsible for bringing new life-affirming concepts into your thought, your life experience, and affirmations and affirming are a way to do it. And Holmes says, your thoughts are tools that you use in affirming the creative power into your experience. If you're on one hand seeking to affirm health or prosperity or something into your experience, but on the other hand, you're holding a level of judgment against, whatever. At whatever degree you do that, you put yourself in opposition to the power that brings the affirming good into your life experience. We have to move beyond that. He says, it may seem strange at first to think that we can affirm something into existence where nothing seems to be. He says, but this is not true when we draw a picture, mold a form, or plant a seed. He says, anyone wishing to demonstrate the availability of the law of life must certainly accept the dynamic reality of affirmation. Affirmation is the greatest and fundamentally the only creative agency in the universe. Affirmation within ourselves. But again, that affirmation has got to be from a foundational level of consciousness that aligns ourselves with the divine, with God, with the source of all that is. And, I know I go over this a lot, through the various shows, but I can't emphasize the importance of that enough that, if you want to see love in the world, you have to be that love, okay? And there's no way to demand that the world bring that into your experience if you're not there already. And if you're there already, you don't have to demand the world bring that into your experience. And that's where we have to be. He says, affirmation is not an affirmation unless it is inwardly believed in, okay? Again, aligning ourselves with principle, aligning ourselves with the divine. How can you believe in something and believe in something in opposition to it, okay? It's done unto us as we believe, at the level of our belief. The faith, confidence, and belief that we bring to something is the motive force, if you will, the power behind the affirmation demonstrating in our life. So he says we should not only hitch the wagon of our hope to a star, he says, but we should likewise identify our mind with the infinite. God cannot fail, and we shall cease failing when we identify ourselves with the supreme source. In order to identify yourself with good, right? God, good, source, spirit. Can't go there if you're, if there is that within you which identifies with something less than good. And so it is a journey. We break old habits. We develop new habits. Those habits are life-affirming habits. Those habits are habits that remove the habit of complaint out of our day-to-day life experience. These habits are habits that when doubt appears in our mind, we deny doubt any power in our mind because we have a bigger God than anything that our doubt could be about. At the level we have our faith and confidence and belief in that. And we can do that. We have the ability, it's amazing the power that's within you when you seek to tap into it. He says, always, we are brought back to this fundamental truth that life is a mirror and that external happenings are objective correspondences to our interior contemplations. Life mirrors back to us. We want, and I know each and every one of us want to live at a greater degree of livingness, because that's what life seeks to do. Life is not something we just talk about. Life is that inner energy, that spiritual force within us, and it seeks to express itself. And it seeks, in our individual experience, it seeks to express itself through us. And it's amazing that the realization that what we're talking about is not something that's limited by our physical birth or, the end of our physical life on this planet. But we're talking about something that is infinite, that has no limitation, it is within us, expressing through us, as us. We can, in consciousness, we can tap into that. And in tapping into it, we can put it into practice in our life. Holmes, and I read this a couple weeks ago. I'm going to read this again because this is a powerful concept that he had about the power of new thought, the power of science of mind and spirit. Matter of fact, I think I read this last week, but I'm going to read it again today because it can't be restated enough. Holmes says, world peace will appear when the nations, realizing that there is good enough to go around, learn to live together in harmony. Okay, everybody gets that, right? I mean, that's part of the regular PR that we hear, can't we all get along? But, he says, this is a matter of self-training among the different peoples and an international understanding. This international consciousness is being born to nations today and will yet shine full-orbed. And then, he says, we shall cease to have wars. Well, what's he talking about? He goes on, he says, the world is made up of individual members, of which we are. He says, so we must begin with the unit, the individual. We cannot carry discord into harmony, for discord is a lack of the proper appreciation of harmony. It's kind of what we were talking about today on a more personal level. This is on a more universal level. He says, we cannot carry our troubles to the spirit, for spirit is untroubled. We approach God only through its own nature, his own nature, her own nature. He said, if one wishes to experience peace, he or she must first become peaceful in his own thought. Careful self-training will do this, and that's the key. Careful self-training. I don't need to read the rest of it. The point that he's making is, you want peace in the world? Create peace within yourself. Sometimes that seems counterintuitive, but it really is the ultimate of truth. As we connect ourselves within ourselves to the energetic, creative force of all that is, the power, the presence, that in that interconnectedness, we become world-influencing individuals, if you will. It's not about going out and joining a group or becoming part of this, that, or the other, and then telling the world how it has to be. It's about creating that within ourselves, each and every one of us. And because we have the ability to make choices, because we have the power to think thoughts, because thoughts are a force of power within the creative consciousness of the universe, we're all co-creators, if you will, of a greater good in the world, should we choose to do that. That's one of the things as I work my way through my learning process, a new thought, is the idea that we have that ability, but we have to claim it. And in our claiming, we have to own it. And in our owning, we begin to shift our position in how the world is expressed through us. And we can all do that. He says, always, we are brought back to the fundamental truth that life is the mirror and that the external happenings are the objective correspondences of our inner contemplations. He says, our external world is not external at all. It is all internal, but contained within a cosmic mind to which each one of us has a kinship so intimate that each may consider it personal to him or herself. There's a power and a presence for good in the universe. We say that a lot. It's available to each of us at the level of our faith, confidence, belief in it, and our receptiveness to it. But more than that, it is an expression of goodness, wholeness, love, harmony, and it awaits our recognition of it within ourselves. And in potential, everything that we could need, want, and desire to express life, to express it at a higher, greater degree, is available to us. It's just, my mind kind of has just gone back to that again and again today as we're going through this particular chapter. I may come back and revisit this chapter again next week, because there's so much in here for each and every one of us. The reason why when I opened today's show, I read that introductory paragraph is because there is a power that's available to us. We can be a creative force, demonstration, producer, if you will, in our own life experience. But it's not a get rich quick scheme. It's an aligning ourselves with the divine principle. It's claiming our good, and at the same time, as we claim our good, we give more good out into the world. And what we give out into the world comes back to us again. What is life mirroring back to us? We can take two individuals, put them in exactly the same situation. If one of them has a life-affirming consciousness, they will find the good in wherever that situation is. If one has a limiting level of consciousness, then they will find limitation in that same experience. How we choose to interact with life, how we choose to put life, if you will, into practice in our experience, in our expression, is left up to us. No one can do it for us, but no one can stop us once we make the choice to do it for ourselves. That's how powerful we are. There's no power on the face of the earth that can stop you once you make up your mind. You make that choice and you begin to follow through on it. So it looks like I got one more short break, and then we'll come back and we'll wrap up the show for today. So I'll see you when we come back.
yourself a glass of Crybaby wine available at the market and Sam's Italian Deli. And remember to ask for Crybaby wine at your favorite restaurant. Call PG's Catering for all your special occasions. Available to cook any variety of foods and desserts that will leave your taste buds wanting more. Call 559-558-2682 and follow Peaches on Instagram and Facebook. Doctor in Sukasa allows you to connect with your doctor when you need a quick treatment. Avoid a trip to a medical clinic or emergency room and connect by video with your doctor from your home, work, or anywhere. Just go to drinsukasa.com on your phone, tablet, or computer. Dr. in Sukasa provides quality care that is convenient, bilingual, and affordable, so you are never left without access to health care. Visit drinsukasa.com today.
Welcome back to New Thought Talk. I'm your host, the Reverend Steve Walling. Okay, we're still in the depths of Chapter 5 of the Art of Life, or this thing called life, and we're going to work. I'm just not going to rush through this because there's so much in here that I want to make sure that we get this covered well. Holmes says the law of life is a law of mind, of spirit, or of thought. He says you may call it a law of cause and effect. He says you may call it a law of polarity. It has been called by these names and many more. The law of life says that whatever you mentally affirm and at the same time become inwardly aware of, life will create for you. You know, we affirm so many things in our day-to-day life experience that we don't categorize as being an affirmation, if you will, and yet in truth that's what we're doing. And once we do that, we invite that into that inwardliness in our minds, our hearts, and our being, and then life reflects that back. That's why, if you want to know what you believe, look at what's going on in your life experience. If your life experience isn't real joyous or affirming or creative or something that you say that you want to experience, it's because you're holding beliefs that have in some way limited yourself, and in holding those beliefs you're still allowing those thoughts, that trend of thinking, those reactions to what's going on in your outward world experience to basically lead you down that path, and then you internalize that again, and so you set up that cycle. You can break that cycle. And I'm going to leave this here. We'll pick this up next week, because this idea of breaking the cycle, sometimes people get the impression that this is just real easy to do. We have sayings like change your thinking, change your life, and that is absolutely true. But the effort that's necessary in each and every one of us to change our thinking sometimes can be rather profound, if you will. Now, sometimes it can be easy, depending. But when we hold beliefs that have limited us, that have kept us in a less than harmonious life experience, we want to break out of that, and yet, as we attempt to do so, it seems like we're spinning our wheels. Truth is, you're not, And one of the things that I tell people when we're working on this, and when they're working on this in their life, is when you make that choice to move out from where you're at, commitment is important. Commitment to time every day, making that time. And when you skip a day, and it will happen, don't chastise yourself, but recommit. Make that commitment all over. And you start again, and you work on it. As you do this, and it seems like you're just slogging through, right? Stop, pause, reflect inwardly. And if you can, inwardly, look back to see where you came from. We don't judge by looking at the horizon, the distance we've traveled. We judge by pausing and reflecting on where we came from and seeing how far forward we've moved. Because the horizon will always move forward. That's the thing about life, and it really is kind of an exciting thing, if you will, once you begin to realize it, that life seeks to express itself at ever greater and higher degrees of livingness. So as you move up that ladder of expression, metaphorically speaking, life doesn't say, okay, you've got to that point, now I'm satisfied. No, life says, let's do more, let's move forward more, let's accomplish more. So the horizon is always moving forward as we move forward. But because we have habituated ourselves in thinking in certain ways, we get caught up in kind of a self-defeating attitude. One of the things that we know about habits that we have had and formed in our minds and our consciousness is that when we seek to break those habits, we create new habits. The old habits, it's not like they disappear. They kind of sit back there. And if we fall back into them, they're waiting for us, if you will. So we have to choose to live life affirmatively, consciously, and in a level of awareness. You can kind of look at a habit as an addiction, if you will. The addict never loses the addiction, but they celebrate each and every day of being clean and sober. So as we seek to move forward in our life experience, we celebrate every day. And it's important that we do celebrate every day. When I opened the show today, I said, did you in the morning before you opened your eyes embrace the day and accept the day as your gift for this day? That's part of this. We'll talk about more as we go on through these lessons and in this particular book. And you can go back and you can refer to we have about 200 YouTube videos now, and you can go through Facebook, New Thought Talk, or my page on Facebook, and you can find previous shows. Seek to affirm a greater good each and every day in your life. Seek to make that your new habit. Seek to send out more love today than what you did yesterday. Not with the idea of anything coming back to you, but with the idea of giving forth into the world a greater good. And the world will respond to you at the level that you open yourself up and accept. And accepting is important. Being receptive is important. At that level, you'll have that experience, that expression in your life. We're going to cap it for today. We'll see you next week. We'll finish up chapter 5 and we'll move forward. So as you go through the week, know that the light of God surrounds you, the love of God enfolds you, the power of God protects you, the presence of God watches over you. Wherever you are, God is there. All is well, my friends. And I'll see you next week.